If you're not here, you're not living. Let's go, the boys!
Gamers, jamers, and flamers alike, IEM Melbourne is just around the corner, and I'm here to have a quick look at all the teams and talk about what I think is going to be going down. Quick disclaimer, I've recorded this ahead of time. Spirit pulled out already, Complexity replaced them. That's fine, but if there's any more visa issues and some other dramas that go down, I'm not aware of them, so this was recorded on the 15th. Let's get into it. Intel Extreme Masters Melbourne 2025. It is going to be starting next Monday and then go all the way until Sunday with a $1 million prize pool. This time it's going to be located in Melbourne, as the name suggests, which on paper, much better city than Sydney, even just to get around, things to do. It's open at night time for everyone that's watching the event and the playoffs to go out and have fun. So that's kind of cool, but let's talk about the teams. So the teams that were invited, of course, you got Vitality, mouz, Navi, mongolz, faze, falcons, Virtus Pro, 3D Max, Gamer Legion, Liquid, Complexity, who are replacing Spirit, which is unfortunate, but Complexity played pretty well the other day. Pain, Saw, MIBR, Big, and FlyQuest. So FlyQuest coming in at the lowest seed, which is a little bit unfortunate, but they do have that recent roster swap of Netic coming in and Ins on the IGL, so you got to think about that. Can they make it? Who knows? Let's have a look at the groups as well. So Group A is going to be mouz, Big, 3D Max, Gamer Legion, Faze, Pain, mongolz, and Complexity. And as you can see, these are the games. mouz against Big as the first game with 3D Max and Gamer Legion there, which interestingly is quite close. Faze and Pain, and then mongolz and Complexity, which could be a scorcher, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then down in Group B, we have Vitality, FlyQuest, Liquid, VP, Falcons, Saw, Navi, and MIBR. Now, this one, very rough draw and a very rough reason for FlyQuest to be coming in at that lowest seed. Vitality, you know, they're here to win the ESL Grand Slam, and they're going to be hunting for that big dub. And what is it, $1 million? I think it's $1 million. I've got to look that up. Liquid and VP, going to be an interesting matchup because Liquid kind of kicked the bucket over in Bucharest. VP as well. They're kind of like this bubble team, kind of punching down against all these tier 2 teams, but not quite like a tier 1 team themselves. So we'll see what they're going to be able to do this competition. Should be able to make playoffs. Falcons and Saw, another interesting one. Falcons with monesy finally rejoining his old mate of Niko. So this will be interesting to see what they've been able to do with the prep time, with the prac time, and how much prac time they've had. Are they actually going to have, 3 or 4 days prac before coming into this tournament, or were they already scrimming beforehand? Saw as well, all over the place, could do anything. Navi up against MIBR is on paper an easy dub for Navi, but MIBR, of course, could definitely maybe take a name here or there. So we'll see if Navi is going to be able to stop them. And also Brazilians, every time they play in Australia, seem to do pretty bloody well. MIBR was the team that won ESL Challenger Melbourne about a year ago. I think it was almost to this date, halfway through April. And yeah, so felt quite at home in Melbourne, but this time it's definitely against much better competition. So we'll see how that goes. Subscribe! In terms of, breaking all of these games down, mouz and Big should be an easy dub for mouz. Big, a little bit all over the place. They initially looked good when going back to a full German lineup, but mouz are making grand final after grand final and showing that they are here to prove a point. And I feel like this is going to be the opportunity for them to try and do it. They could be the ultimate opponents for Vitality if they can pick that game up. The problem is Vitality just keep getting them dubs, right? So that should be an easy win. And then mouz, look at these 4 here. That should be easy for mouz to go straight to playoffs here. Big, I don't think they make it. I think this is one of the teams that is almost certainly going to be getting grouped, which is unfortunate. They might get a win here or there down in the lower bracket, but other than that, they are also, I think they're coming in, is it red hot off of the MRQ? Yeah, so they're coming from their 2-1, depending on how this game goes for them tomorrow. If they win, they can come to Australia earlier, but if they lose, they have to play up until Thursday night. So they wouldn't get a plane until Friday, so they wouldn't get there till Saturday. So they are going to be jet lagged. They are probably 95% chance going to be jet lagged and feeling like arse for their first game, if not their second game. So we'll see how that goes for them. 3D Max and Gamer Legion. Gamer Legion is in the same spot. Where are we? Here. So you got Gamer Legion and Saw. That's the other team that's attending that is also coming through the MRQ. And look, if they lose, it kind of works more in their favor for IEM Melbourne. They're going to miss out on the major, which will suck. But they won't be jet lagged for Melbourne. So I guess that's a small positive in a horrible negative. But either way, look, if they win, one of these teams is going to be coming early. One of these teams is going to be coming a bit later. after playing all the way through to Thursday. Or however this one works. I can't remember. 8th place, 6th place. I'm pretty sure winner of that goes to there. And what it is, it's like the top 4 seeded teams or the top 4 VRS teams in this stage go through and 2 get eliminated. That's off the top of my head. I need to fact check that. Don't take it for gospel, but that is probably what happens. FaZe against Pain. Look, FaZe finally finding some form there in Bucharest. They should be right to get through here. You know, Mongolz, my confidence for them is a little bit low after what we saw from them in Bucharest. They kind of just kicked the bucket, choked. It didn't look good. Pain are due for a bounce back. And as I said before, Brazilians seem to have a way of playing great Counter-Strike in Australia. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Pain make it through. But I would more so be leaning towards like a FaZe double dub here. Complexity, another team that I would hope could make it to playoffs because they were in the grand final at IEM Sydney in 23. But look, they got to get through Mongolz and then they got to get through Pain or FaZe. And I don't see it happening because they, to qualify for the Austin Major, are playing right now, or played right now. Looks like they won that 2-0. They have to play tomorrow, which is Wednesday, play on Thursday, and then play on Thursday night, Friday in Europe, Friday in Australia. So the earliest they will leave, I'm assuming they're playing in Dallas, coming from Dallas or somewhere in America. The earliest that they can get to Sydney or Melbourne, I think, is like late night Saturday, if not like early morning Sunday. And that's horrible. That means they're going to be coming in as jet lagged as you could be. They're going to be shaking it off on media day, if that. And then their first game is going to be rough. Fortunately for them, as mentioned, they are up against Mongolz, who are a bit shaky. I'm really hoping we get good Mongolz for, you know, the arguably the champion local team. You know, FlyQuest are here, but Mongolz are also, you know, on the same time zone up in Mongolia. So they're going to be feeling, they should be feeling pretty good, not having to be having their body clocks adjusted. And then if they've figured out their problems from Bucharest as well, which they've had about 2 weeks to Melbourne to get that all sorted, that can be a huge bounce back. Anyway, that'll be fun. We have a good Mongolian population, so hopefully if they make playoffs, everyone will be quite excited about that. I think they're looking like a favorite for playoffs if they don't choke, if they bring good form. So that's going to be that. Now down to Group B. Subscribe! Vitality and FlyQuest. Like, I'm just going to, like, I'm fully on board with the Vitality era and them hitting the old Grand Slam. So I reckon Vitality dub, boom, win that, boom, straight into semis, have a couple of days off to relax and watch everyone else. FlyQuest, look, best case, they lose here and they're going to be going up against the loser of Liquid and VP, which could be good for them because I like the narrative, right, of FlyQuest going up against Liquid. And even though FlyQuest, look, they don't really have much to do with Juzzy, just getting a bit of revenge, you know, a little bit of spank them. For JKS, of course, got removed for Shui recently, and they looked bad. They looked terrible in Bucharest. So Liquid are either due for a bounce back after having some time to maybe get a little bit of a boot camp in post-Bucharest. I'm not 100% sure on that. But VP as well, as said before, you know, they are this team that is like on the bubble, on the cusp of hitting tier 1 again. But everyone that is not playing good Counter-Strike below them, they just seem to have a way of just knocking them out. So VP, very good team. I expect them to be going up against Vitality here and probably getting knocked down to the lower bracket themselves. It is a bit of a rough draw if you get put in the same side of the bracket as Vitality because Vitality is just too good and they're going to be the ones going here. So yeah, FlyQuest, lower bracket against one of these two teams. There is a chance for FlyQuest to get a dub depending on how they look with INS now as the IGL and with Nedic coming in. They did and currently are playing the MRQ. They got that win, and I'm assuming they're going to win tonight, like later tonight, up against Semplify. They should win that 2-0. Moving on, Falcons, you got Niko and monesy back in the game. There's no Dexter, though. MVP of Bucharest got removed for monesy, which is fair enough. He is the young GOAT, and I want to see what he can do. Him and Niko back together playing again with some other, you know, good individuals on the team. Tessus, even though people think he's getting removed for Kyosuke, which could be confirmed, could be not confirmed. I haven't double-checked those sources. Tessus has been playing nuts, man. You've seen some of the crazy shit he's hit over the last couple of competitions. He's just so good on the rifle. Arguably, maybe Magisk has more of a say in the team, and that's why he's staying, but it's a conversation for another time. And Kixon as well. I rate him as a IGL, so keep him in there. And then over on the Source side of things, at Pro League, Stage 1, they came out and they just took a couple of names. So everyone was like, oh, you know, high on them with the two newcomers to the roster. But since then, they've been struggling, and they could be getting knocked out of the MRQ and missing the major completely. So they'll be coming in on a low or jet lagged, but I think Falcons are going to be looking good after winning Bucharest. They're going to be coming for some names here, and arguably I'd say they're looking better than what we've seen from Navi as of late. So theoretically, obviously monesy's there. Things are going to change. But yeah, Navi, MIBR, another matchup which should go Navi's way. And then we're going to see like an MIBR Saw matchup in the lower bracket, which then could get a bit more interesting for both those teams, considering themselves maybe a lower bracket run. But if you look at the other names that are going to end up down there, right, in the semis, this should be a Falcons-Navi matchup on paper. A Falcons or a Navi up against like a FlyQuest or a Liquid VP. So this will be a rough game for any of these teams to get through, to then have to win a lower final against the other side of the bracket. Man, there's just a lot going on in these brackets. But look, I'm on board with the idea of the honeymoon phase coming through. I don't think that they'll beat Vitality here. That could be spicy if they do. But I do think that they should beat Navi. I reckon that they're going to come out on a high, on that honeymoon, and they're going to take Navi down to the lower bracket. We'll see. Also, Navi's other storyline here as well is that they actually have a full 5 at IEM Sydney when they last played. That was when Simple had his ego trip, didn't like CS2, didn't want to play CS2, and then just didn't turn up. So Blade had to play as a stand-in. And that's why they didn't have the best performance at IEM Sydney 2023, if you remember that. That's most of the storylines. I'm hoping we get to see MIBR try to back themselves up, but against, yeah, like this bracket here, even if you win this one, you're up against monesy and niko. Oh, that's not a good place to be, and I don't see that happening. Subscribe! In 2023 at IEM Sydney, we had a huge amount of upsets, but most of them were caused because at that point, it was still best of one first round upper bracket, right? So it's the best of ones created more upsets and chaos was going everywhere, but now we got best of 3s. So there should be a sense of normalcy here, at least in the B group. A group, same sort of thing. Yeah, I think this is where things could get a little bit weird. I don't think any of them upset mouz, but this lower bracket's going to be all over the place because there are some big names and some strong contenders in Group A as well. And to polish things off, just going to do what I think the playoffs bracket is going to look like at the end of the week. Here it is, quarters. We're going to have Falcons coming through in that second place position from Group B, mouz first in Group A, and faze third in Group A to round out the quarters and the semis on the top side. And then on that bottom side, we got the mongolz coming second in Group A, VP coming third in Group B, and Vitality coming first in Group B. So this is what I think, just looking off the name value, looking off of recent performances, that I think is going to happen. Look, there are some other names that could easily make it, like Navi, etc. But look, there is going to be some upsets and there is going to be some performances. So I'm just hoping that this is a stab in the dark and what I think is going to happen. Now, who wins the quarters? That's what I want to know here. I think I want to go with my heart. All right, I want to go with my heart, and I want to say mongolz will be doing it. You know, I think mongolz are going to be able to make their way through here into the semis, but no further on this lower side. Vitality then, of course, are going to just straight up dominate, probably be the victors, get the granny. And over on the top side, mate, I can't like not think of this storyline. You know, Falcons, they're going to have themselves the best honeymoon. We're going to have niko and monesy blitzing through everyone. mouz aren't going to be ready for this jelly. They jump through them there. mouz have a little bit of a choke because the Aussie crowd's too loud, and we know mouz usually don't perform in front of loud crowds. Subscribe! Although they have beaten the allegations on that one already. Australia's a different beast, man. You got a lot of noise going on. Maybe they'll thrive in it, maybe not. But Falcons, I want to see them make it to the grand final. Falcons, Vitality, and I want to see it more than just fucking 3 maps in a best of 5. Pretty please. More than 3 maps in a best of 5. Make it spicy. Make it tasty. All these Vitality dubs, they've been great, right? But they've been so one-sided. Someone's got to push them. And the young goat is the one to do it. That's going to be that for the single elim bracket. But Vitality are going to win in the end, so congratulations. They're going to get the ESL Grand Slam. Woo! Woo! Crowd goes wild! And now, look, you might not even have to watch IEM Melbourne, or you can to see if this prediction was correct. And that is going to be that for the video. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what your predictions are. If you think Vitality are going to get the Grand Slam, or if it's going to be someone else. Are Falcons going to be able to go back-to-back in these tournaments and show everyone that the Bash Brothers are back? cool. That is going to be that for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's one. I've been doing mostly smoke stuff, mostly in-game stuff, but today I thought I'd delve back into the esports side of things because it's good for my prep. It's good for me to get my head around what's going on because maybe he's working it, maybe he's not. I don't know when that announcement's going out, but if you watch the whole video now, you know, hey! See ya. Oh, subscribe.